When I helped out at Sandy Hook 12 years ago, I had no idea where this was going. I was just helping my neighbor. These dogs and handlers do is they're taught how to use the dog as a connection and engagement tool. Since then, we've done everything from active shooters, bombings, murder-suicide, suicide, homicide, hostage situation, prison takeovers, airplane crashes, railroad derailments, takeovers of government buildings. How do you tell a state police captain who's totally jaded that he needs to talk to somebody? I'm good. That watershed moment for a group debrief is important because it allows everyone to be human.
Welcome to Responder Resilience. Along with my co-host, Dr. Stacy Raymond, I'm David Dashinger. Today's episode, we'll be speaking with Brad Cole. He's the Executive Director of K9 First Responders, Inc., and we're going to explore the evolution of Crisis Mental Health Canines. We'll be discussing how the dogs assist in crisis situations, take a look at their potential unintended consequences of their use, and we'll outline some best practices for integrating them into response plans. And we'll definitely be touching on the interface of mental health clinicians and these dogs. Additionally, we're going to take an inside look at K9 First Responders' upcoming second annual Comfort Dogs in Public Safety Conference. We invite you to like and subscribe YouTube, Responder Resilience, Facebook, Responder Wellness Inc., and Responder TV, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, LinkedIn, and check out our website, respondertv.com, for past episodes and guest information. This episode is made possible by the First Responder Center for Excellence. Discover more at firstrespondercenter.org and connect with us on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Our resource partner, Fight Camp, is offering an exclusive deal for viewers of Responder Resilience. For a limited time, you can get an amazing free package valued at $238, which includes punch trackers, quick wraps, and a free 45-day membership trial. Don't miss out. Email us at info@respondertv.com with the subject line Fight Camp to claim your free package today. We'll be right back to speak with Brad after this.
In this family, more of us die by our own hands than by the hazards of the job.
In this family, up to a quarter of 911 telecommunicators have symptoms of post-traumatic stress.
In this family, our mental health and wellness are in crisis,
while responders are quietly suffering.
In this family, many struggle with job-related stress,
burnout, moral injury, sleep disruptions, substance abuse,
and relationship problems.
In this family, we can help the helpers.
With vital information and resources,
resilient strategies,
and success stories of overcoming the obstacles.
In this family, no one is alone.
Welcome to Responder Resilience with co-hosts retired Lieutenant David Dashinger, Dr. Stacy Raymond, and Bonnie Rumley, LCSW, EMTB.
We'd like to welcome back Brad Cole. He's the Executive Director, Subject Matter Expert, and Thought Leader for K9 First Responders. He's got 36 years of experience in security and crisis management and investigations. And combined with his years of guard force management, Brad brings a strong operational and training discipline to K9 FR. His experience with government, diplomatic, medical, and corporate clients enhances K9 FR's operational effectiveness. He's got an impressive array of credentials and certifications. And Brad, we'd like to welcome you back to Responder Resilience.
David, it's great to be back. Thank you. I apologize if my voice is a little hoarse. It's that time of year.
Gotcha.
No problem. So, Brad, I wanted to start by asking you what inspired you to become a dog handler?
It really was what I call an unintended walkabout. Grew up with dogs all my life. When I got my Akita Spartacus, who you know, people seemed to really be drawn towards him. So I wanted to do something for my community. So we volunteered at Yale New Haven Health System and had done that for a while. And he was well received. And then unfortunately, the events took place at Sandy Hook and the tragedy there. I approached the Crisis Center and the Crisis team there and introduced myself and let them know my background and let them know what Sparkus could be used for. And they never thought of applying a dog at a crisis situation, and they invited me to join. And 6 months later, I left. And In between, there were some other very tragic events at a local high school and other places we were called into, and it kind of continued from that point.
So, and I understand, and I may have heard it from you, that when the Newtown community was asked what did they find most helpful from a therapy standpoint, that they said, because there were various therapists, I was one of them that showed up at the middle school, and I did see dogs there, but I didn't know you at that time. But their response was that they most appreciated the dogs.
That's correct. The most influential resource for Newtown were the dogs. It was really, during times like that, you don't think of things in that aspect. You just think of helping your neighbor one day along at a time. And, to this day, we still have a very special connection with Sandy Hook and Newtown.
Right. Why do you think that is, while we're on that? Why do you think that, the community said that it was just so comforting to have the dogs there? Now, they appreciated the therapists, but there was something different about having the dogs. Can you explain that?
Sure. The dogs allow a person to be in the present, here and now. A person does not have to think about what they just experienced, what the loved one just experienced, or what the community is going through. And they can hit the pause or hold button while petting the dog. And we were very fortunate with having behind the scenes a very nuclear group of dog handlers who worked at Yale New Haven Hospital or a couple other places where tragic events occur. And so they knew how to be with people and allow people to be themselves and bear witness to what was happening. And we were very fortunate that we had that nuclear group of people to do so, and it made an impact. I remember one young girl, we walked into the classroom, and she referred to me as her second dad. And another girl in the class said, "Why is he your second dad?" And she said in front of the class, she goes, "Because he's always there when I need him." Kind of caught me by surprise, still does. That family and I are still friends today, but it's different for everybody, and we're just glad we were able to be there for the children, the adults, the teachers, the staff, and the members of public safety that had to process a lot.
Introducing Fight Camp. Thousands of workouts led by expert trainers that meet you on your time. Live punch stats motivate you to push harder and help you map out your progress. Knockout achievements, or go head-to-head against other rivals from across the country or across the living room. Learn the basics and sharpen your skills over time through tailored paths. Join the biggest boxing community in the world without leaving your home. Fight Camp.
Hey everyone, if you're looking to elevate your fitness journey, listen up. Fight Camp is rolling out an incredible offer just for Respond to Resilience listeners, an absolutely free package that includes punch crackers, quick wraps, and a 45-day membership trial valued at $238. This isn't just a workout, it's a way to track your progress in real time with advanced technology. You'll have access to over 3,000 on-demand workouts tailored for all fitness levels, so you'll never run out of options. Kickstart your fitness journey and follow these simple steps to get your free package. Just email us today at info@respondertv.com
with the subject line Fight Camp,
and we'll send you everything you need to sign up and claim your free offer. That's info@respondertv.com.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that and what's involved and what are some of the challenges that these people will face as they go out there and do their crisis intervention.
Excellent question. I thank you for asking it. During the past 10 years or so, the evolution of dogs being used during a crisis or a trauma has increased greatly. And the functional definition of and the job performance of each dog changes a little bit. You have therapy dogs that do a wonderful role, or a community resource dog or a facility dog. That's just part of a wellness program that comes in and just brightens up your day. You may have a bad day, may have just not started off well. And that is a wonderful skill set to be able to understand people and know your dog and be able to use your dog for that. And then dogs go to a comfort or crisis dog will go to a public tragedy and provide support to the public, not any individual or group specific support, but just to be there and to help through that moment. But the training there is a little bit more intense because they need to know what's called psychological first aid in case they come across somebody who unexpectedly needs that protocol to be able to help them get through for the next several moments or minutes, to understanding what the overall principle is of trauma-informed care and what trauma is. And for themselves to understand the nature of how support teams interact with existing systems so they don't accidentally get someone's knickers twisted, so to speak, by showing up. And then, so Stacy, as we went through this, dogs were requested at more intense level of interactions, which would be your peer support dog, your crisis and stress management dog, where they're actually a part of a system and they're included in those protocols to help people and first responders and the community. At that particular point, the prior two categories of dogs are more of a form of passive support. Pet my dog, feel better, hopefully it brings a moment. But the third category of dog and handler are trained to a much higher level because they're actually part of the support system. And they go from a passive form of support to an active form of support, where they're utilized, and Stacey, you've seen it, where they're utilized by a SISM team, by a clinician, or by a department to help stabilize somebody and get them emotionally grounded, or to get them even into debriefing. Sometimes first responders don't want to go into debriefings. I'm good.
Right, but if there's a dog there, it makes it a lot easier for them to go in and feel more relaxed. Yeah,
absolutely. And those peers are trained in the same mental health protocols as the agencies that they're working with. We recommend psychological first aid, crisis and stress management, post-traumatic stress management, and a few other things, so they can be very effective. But what these dogs and handlers do is they're taught how to use the dog as a connection and engagement tool, because first responders are tough to connect and engage with. It's how do you do so? How do you tell a state police captain who's totally jaded that he needs to talk to somebody? I'm good.
Right.
And I kind of in the elevator speech I use sometimes is number one, at that level, we're the Walmart greeters of trauma.
I think that's funny.
And the second part is that we're the used car salesmen of trauma. We talk to you, find out what your needs are, and then we will bait and switch you with you agreeing to a different level of care.
Interesting.
The dogs promote trust. And, no bad people in dogs.
Right.
And, we're also trusted at a different level because we're part of that response system. We're vetted. Right. They understand we're there.
Right.
As firefighters and first responders, we're brilliant at the basics. We master the art of stretching the line, and we excel at being there for those who need us most. Yet even the best of us can be caught off guard. We sometimes face unexpected challenges like injury, cancer, or post-traumatic stress symptoms. But you're not alone. The First Responder Center for Excellence is here to equip you with the tools and resources you need to stay informed and prepared. We help you focus on staying strong, safe, fit, and resilient. Optimize your performance with cutting-edge health, wellness, and science information, from fitness to nutrition, medical evaluations to behavioral health, cancer awareness to cardiac health. We've got you covered. Remember, we're stronger together. Discover more at firstrespondercenter.org and connect with us on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. The First Responder Center for Excellence. Equip yourself with excellence for every call.
You kind of outlined some of the categories of mental health canines, and can you just talk to like what distinguishes them? I know you started to do that, but can you get a little more into the fine points of what distinguishes the different categories and like how do they assist, and can you give us some generic scenarios where that might happen?
As we talked about before, therapy dogs are wellness visits and visits to schools and offices and feel good. The comfort of crisis dogs support the community. They're a passive form of support. But as we talked about, the third category, and one that we did not get into, is the trauma intervention canine or the canine first responder. The training there is very similar to the third category, but the experience level and the knowledge base of that handler is broader because those teams will supplement and actually have, while they're working within a system, they're out on their own. Like in Las Vegas, DC, or Lewiston, Maine, these teams were connected with Crisis Mental Health and the police, fire, and government offices, but they were out working individually with individuals because they did not have the resources to handle the need. And so the latter two categories, 3 and 4, since they're active providers, and I refer to them as providers because functionally that's what they are. They're providing mental health services. They fall underneath HIPAA.
Oh, wow.
They need to understand how the nuances of their body language, of their affect, of their energy,
right,
of how to transfer that to a person, how to get that person to be a little bit more grounded, be more present, and then eventually stay in a position where they'll either accept a warm handoff to somebody, or we can keep communication and contact where a support system can meet with them. Mm-hmm. We let them know that we're concerned and we like to touch back base. Our job, if we're doing it correctly, is to enhance the existing systems in place. We don't look to do things on our own, but there are times where the existing systems get totally overwhelmed, and especially the latter category of a trauma intervention canine are trained to do so.
Brad, I remember being at a debrief, and there was a canine first responder there, and it was just amazing to watch how the dog was allowed to just gravitate toward whoever it wanted to go to, and when it arrived, it was clearly someone that I had, and another therapist in the room knew that this person was struggling. Like we could feel that, right, from our own, level of empathy. But the dog made a beeline for this person, and, he picked the dog up. It was a little dog, and he started crying. And it was exactly what he needed, I think, to kind of open the door to say what he needed to say, in that debrief, because he was ready to bust at the seams, but it took the dog to kind of bring the wall down, and it was done in such a gentle way, and then he opened up and he was able to share what he needed to share. And so I was just watching that. It was fascinating.
And what you described is not uncommon.
Yeah.
It's that watershed moment for a group debrief is important because it allows everyone to be human. And to say it's okay to be human. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that, just what you described, at many other incidents. And that's one of the things where the handlers, they have their own little shtick. They have their personality, the way they work with it. That little dog you referred to, mm-hmm. his handler goes about it in her own way. And developing that is something that is, takes time and experience to do. It's, if we do our job properly, Stacey, people look at us as if we're just talking to somebody.
Right. Right. They don't see the deeper level of what's happening. So, that dog clearly, in a very innocent way, disarmed that first responder, right? So what do you do in a situation where someone's afraid of dogs?
The handlers are trained to, obviously look at body cues and body language to understand who may be afraid. And at the beginning of a debrief or group meeting, we'll say, hey, look, is anyone here afraid of dogs? Mm-hmm. Anyone allergic to dogs?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we teach at the higher categories, I won't want to say higher because each category is important, but at the latter categories is cultural competency, both professionally and well societal and religious components, because we don't want to inadvertently create a barrier to communication because we disrespected someone's thoughts, feelings. They're afraid of dogs. They're allergic to dogs, that sort of thing. So we try to prepare for that as much as possible. And there are times that people are afraid or allergic to dogs, and they say, well, I don't care. I need this dog here.
Calling all mental health professionals. Join us for the Clinician Masterclass series, working with first responders, and empower your practice with expert insights and actionable strategies. Brought to you by the Responder Resilience Podcast. Dive deep on working with EMS and 911 personnel with seasoned therapists Dr. Nicole Navega and Bonnie Rumilly. Sunny Provetto shares specific knowledge and tools to support police. Dr. Stacy Raymond offers professional insights on working with veterans. And Dr. Robbie Adler Tapia covers working with firefighters in a clinical setting. Subject expert Elizabeth Paul covers suicide and psychological autopsies. Patrick Fitzgibbons does a deep dive on inpatient treatment facilities. And Dr. John Violanti covers law enforcement mental wellness. Get ready to transform your practice. Subscribe and stream anytime on our channels: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Stay in the loop and sign up now at respondertv.com.
I want to just look at this from the angle of mental health clinicians. What would you like them to know when it comes to interfacing or interacting with the crisis mental health dogs, and the responders who are affected by a critical incident? What would you like clinicians to know about your world?
The tool that you have available to you is a wonderful tool, but it needs to be a proper resource for the proper situation. Mm-hmm. To have a therapy dog that's never been exposed to first responders or understanding what a debrief protocol is, to be there may do more harm than good because of very subtle, innocent mistakes. And also the clinicians and the crisis counselors can understand the training of the handler, so they know in a debrief, for example, my role is not to, unless I'm a partner directly with them, is to kind of stay back a little bit and watch everybody else, mm-hmm. and provide that feedback to Stacy or to another facilitator, because they may have been focusing on somebody. Meanwhile, a person on the other side of the room, nonverbals are going off the charts, mm-hmm. and no one catches that. But it is a resource. I equate it to, when I'm working with law enforcement, to an officer who's great with kids versus a qualified school resource officer. Both are great with kids, but one has a heck of a lot more training,
right,
to do that. And the same thing here. It's a tool. I encourage clinicians to reach out ahead of time if they're interested to somebody to get to know that dog and that handler. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. Get to know them so you know which resources are appropriate for the situation and the populations you're dealing with.
Are there any specific crises that dogs are appropriate for, that people really want the dog there for more than others?
The interesting thing is sometimes people don't realize they need the dog. When I helped out at Sandy Hook 12 years ago, I had no idea where this was going. I was just helping my neighbor. Since then, we've done everything from active shooters, bombings, murder, suicide, homicide, hostage situation, prison takeovers, airplane crashes, railroad derailments, takeovers of government buildings. And I kind of sit there and sometimes have a glass of wine at night going, where the heck did this come from? So children are a very important aspect where the dogs can reach quickly. But what we sometimes forget is that the staff, teachers, and administration sometimes have even a greater need because they've experienced the same thing, but they're kicking the stress bucket down the road because they want to make sure everyone else, kids are okay, the parents are okay, staff is okay. I will go up to a principal as we're wrapping up initial deployment saying, hey, I want to circle back with you in 2 weeks, can I? And the principal will look at me, I go, you know why? And they go, yeah. Because at that point, they can allow it to be a human and not a principal. And the same thing with command staff. They're taking care of everybody else. And so, we don't want to forget that. But children is a great place to have the dogs intercede with public safety. A trusted partner can do wonders. We are part of several police departments, and we're part of their team. And so they trust us that when we go in, we're honored to be there, but it's easier for them to talk. The dog's here, okay. Or someone will go, hey, is the dog coming? In some instances, we're only called out when there's been a tragedy, and we'll walk into a facility and someone will say, who died? We don't want that, but sometimes that's the only time we get to go out.
So, Brad, you touched on this a little bit with the dogs interfacing and how you follow up with teachers and principals. What other people outside of the traditional first responder professions do you come in contact with who maybe we don't normally think of as benefiting from this, the crisis intervention or the mental health canines? Are there other professionals that fall outside the normal first responder groups?
Absolutely. The stakeholders that we have, and what I refer to as clients, because we're providing a service, is any place that a tragedy could happen. It could happen at school. It can happen at work. We forget that Sandy Hook is also a workplace violence issue.
Yeah.
Most recently, to keep current, the Washington, D.C. American Airlines crash.
Yeah.
Comfort dogs were with the peer team with Washington D.C. Fire. Teams were brought in for American Airlines employees. And teams have been working in Massachusetts with the families, the friends, and the community, the skating community up there for several days. And they've asked for continued support. And sometimes one of the things that we don't realize is that sometimes support has to go to where a person's at. Whether it's a police officer or whether it's Las Vegas or Lewiston, Maine, someone may not want to come into a crisis center for whatever reason. But they'll want support. In Lewiston, Maine, we had a situation where a dance studio was located next to one of the locations the shootings occurred. In a small world syndrome, they got my name and number because they knew someone from Sandy Hook. And he said, we know Brad's up there, call him. And that particular group of people did not want to go in to any place. They wanted to be with each other. And the thing which made it even more dynamic is that that's a small community. So relatives of the shooter and the victims' families, their children are all taking dance classes together.
Yeah.
And so that's public knowledge. So that's not anything out of school. But those types of situations, it could occur. A large corporation could have an active shooter at their facility. Entertainment venues, whether it's Foxborough Stadium, the Garden, or, a music festival location. And
Right.
so that's the other areas that we can provide support.
And your services are free. You're a volunteer, right?
We're free. The only two things we ask is a good parking spot and free coffee.
There you go. That's not a big ask.
Not a lot to ask. No.
Yeah, we don't charge. We don't take names. Because we are underneath HIPAA, our communication systems, emails have been certified for HIPAA. So we've gone up to that level as well. But no, we don't charge. And I don't care if you're the Las Vegas Fire Rescue or whether you're a family that lost your child in a terrible accident. You shouldn't have to pay to feel better.
Right. I just have another question. Are there any unintended consequences of using a canine?
Yes. Great question. And this is one of the reasons why we got the conference together, is that people don't realize what the dog can do fully. Someone may come in they have a therapy dog that's wonderful with people, talk to an impacted survivor, and that person emotionally, their communication barriers have dropped. They're maybe more open to talking. But what this handler does not realize is that person's at that state, and then, hey, I'm glad you pet my dog. I got to go now. Well, you just left that survivor in an open emotional state with no warm handoff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a good thing. It's unintended consequence. Or someone who's skilled and doing some crisis or comfort dog work may not have the proper protocol to work with somebody. We were down in Parkland for the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting, and we were in a hotel, and some teachers and crisis teachers were just coming out, and they were saying, yeah, we just finished our training in mental health first aid. And my partner sitting next to me on the couch, who's also the director of disaster behavioral health for the city of Boston, was like looking at her. I'm like, no, we're going to let them do what they want, because mental health first aid is not the protocol to use after a disaster. It's psychological first aid, or is generally the most common. And so these teachers, and we've seen this with handlers, we've been trained in this, or they just don't understand the nuance.
Right.
Skills for psychological resilience or recovery. Same thing. That's a longer term form. And so, people are their hearts are in the good place, but they just don't realize the unintended consequences they're leaving.
Introducing FDTs, the only gourmet tea crafted with first responders and their families in mind. Proudly firefighter and veteran owned, our collection of gourmet organic teas is uniquely designed to honor those who are on the front lines to protect our communities. At FDTs, we believe in quality. That's why we source the freshest organic tea available, offering you the most popular flavors that not only excite your taste buds, but also bring comfort and relaxation to your daily life. Indulge in our specialty blends: classic Earl Grey, soothing chamomile, vibrant green tea with ginger root, decadent chocolate salty caramel black tea, and robust Irish breakfast. FDTs makes for a special and unique gift, perfect for any occasion or season. Taste the difference and show your appreciation for the rescuers in your life with FDTs, exclusively available on FDTs.com and in our Etsy store, Fire Department Prints.
Before we get into talking about that second annual conference you're having for comfort dogs in public safety, I wanted to touch on your white paper, which is incredibly thorough and really goes into depth about a lot of things you've mentioned here today. One of the resources you have in that white paper is a great list of acronyms. What are some of the acronyms that folks should know in terms of working with Crisis Mental Health Canines?
The acronyms were put in because that's what's called an all hazards document. So the 20 individuals that help contribute to it, Some of them knew some of the acronyms, some did not. I think out of the document is that one should know there's a difference between crisis mental health and a mental health crisis. Same words, different order, different meanings. Crisis mental health is applied after like Sandy Hook, Boston Marathon, Parkland, Vegas, Pittsburgh. A mental health crisis is where a crisis intervention team may come into place with a different skill set.
Okay.
The other acronyms would be important would be psychological first aid. That is a very solid protocol that's universally used and recognized, and that's called PFA. Unfortunately, the acronyms had to be utilized so the paper wouldn't even be longer.
That's great. Well, it's helpful, and it's a good resource. I recommend anybody that wants to find out more about this that to take a look. And where can people find that white paper? Is it available publicly?
Yep, we're going to publish it at the conference, but then we'll put it on our website and at k9fr.org as well. But we're going to publish the final version for 2025 at the conference.
And since you touched on it, please feel free to tell us more about the conference.
The conference is designed to get a lot of great people together to share resources, to network, but also understand there are different levels of handlers, different levels of service. And what's different about this conference is instead of people talking about this is what I think, we've actually bring in the end user. We're bringing in from California. Nick Arnett is just out of the Palisades fires. He's a public information officer, curriculum and stress manager. He's what I call the MacGyver of the fire service. He has so many credentials after his name, but he's worked with the comfort dogs of the fire service and the forest wildland fire service out there as well. We have a CEO of an educational institution coming in who's used dogs for 7 years for crisis management. And we have other people that have utilized the dogs to share their experiences, to let them know these are what is expected when we bring a dog team in. So I think it's very important that they understand the end users' expectations. And we have some programs like American Medical Response. Their national program directors coming on in to share how their program was developed and how they operate across the country and at large-scale disaster areas, as well. And we may have one or two more surprise guests, but we don't have confirmation yet on those. But if we do, it'll be very timely and very informative.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and for anyone who's interested, where is it and when is it?
The conference is being held at UMass Boston on March 24th and 25th. That's a Monday and Tuesday, March 24th and 25th. UMass Boston has a beautiful campus. They've hosted us previously, and dogs are welcome, just as long as they're well behaved. And but one of the things we're doing this year, which is different, is we're going to be holding tabletop exercises. We're going to take 2 to 2.5 hours and go through 4 different deployment scenarios of dogs. To schools, from a school situation to a mass casualty event. And to go through and have people realize, wow, there's a lot to do here, and get that thought process started. So we're hoping that all attendees, when they go home, they have some back pocket skills, they have some information that they can immediately use, and be able to take their program to the next level if they want to.
Sounds great. Yeah, we'll obviously we'll put that link up and share it in our notes. Stacy, any final questions for Brad?
Yeah, Brad, what one key takeaway do you want the audience to come away with regarding crisis mental health canines?
That there are now basically 4 categories of crisis mental health canines. And the right resource needs to be put with the right situation. And in some cases, they're hybrid, where at public vigils or gatherings, a comfort or crisis dog is entirely appropriate. But if you have a situation where, in Lewiston, Maine, where the resources were totally overwhelmed, then a trauma intervention or a canine first responder can be utilized at that. And it's not to the exclusion of one or the other, but you want to make sure that the most effective handler and dog team combination is put with the situation that needs the most.
Once again, where can people find you? Website, any other links you want to share?
Yep, the Canine First Responder website is the letter K, the number 9, fr.org. You can find us there. There will be information on the conference posted there as well. The conference is being hosted on Eventbrite. So if you look up Comfort Dogs and Public Safety, you'll find it. Okay. And really, I appreciate the audience's time and attention, and hopefully some takeaways from the podcast.
Well, thank you for educating us about this up-and-coming field. I didn't realize it was so complicated and that it's so nuanced. It makes a lot of sense. And I really enjoy your dedication, to respond to the call and not expecting any pay, showing up with a dog, which in some cases seems to be the most welcome part of a crisis response.
Well, thank you. And when I started the white paper, and it started off as 3 pages of just thoughts, and then after feedback from 20 people, etc., it's a 19-page document, which 8 pages of it are acronyms and definitions. But it had to be that way. But no, we hope that people can come. Also, there are people out there that have wonderful ideas. This is an evolving process, so it's not. I didn't stay at the Holiday Inn Express last night. So there's different ways to be effective. And so that's what the awesome part of the conference is that a different affect and a different hook, a different approach can be learned. Because
collaborative.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brad, we learn so much every time we speak with you. And once again, I salute you for the amazing work you're doing out there and evolving this incredible field to where it is and helping people the way you do. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us again.
And thank you both for allowing me to share my passion.
Remember, like and subscribe YouTube, Responder Resilience, Facebook, Responder Wellness Inc., and Responder TV, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and please go to our website, respondertv.com, for past episodes and guest information. Until the next time, stay safe, be kind to yourself, take care.